Evelyn Harper had been a senior partner at Whitmore and Lane, one of the city's oldest law firms, for over 10 years. It had taken everything she had: the long nights, the quiet insults she ignored, the cold boardroom stares that said without words, "You don't belong here." Being a black woman in a law firm where almost every portrait on the wall was of old, stern-faced white men was a daily reminder that some doors had only been opened by sheer force of will. And yet, Evelyn was there, sitting at the polished oak conference table with her notes perfectly stacked, her suit crisp, and her back straight. At 41, she was respected. But still, in ways that cut deep, not fully trusted. She could see it in the small things, the way clients would ask for someone more experienced even after hearing her credentials. The way new associates hesitated before addressing her in meetings, their eyes flickering toward her white colleagues. And sometimes she thought maybe it would always be this way. That was until Daniel came along. Daniel Foster was 26, fresh out of law school, nervous, and visibly uncomfortable in his own skin. He was one of the first black male associates the firm had hired in almost 15 years. Evelyn noticed him immediately. Not because he asked for attention, he never did, but because he seemed to shrink a little smaller every day. It was subtle. A missed happy hour invite here, a client meeting he wasn't copied on there. The firm wasn't hostile, not openly, but exclusion didn't have to be loud to be deadly. One Friday evening, Evelyn found Daniel still at his desk long after everyone else had left. "Daniel," she said gently, "you should be home. It's Friday." He looked up, startled, as if expecting to be scolded. "Just catching up on research." Evelyn walked over and pulled out the chair across from him. She didn't ask if he wanted to talk. She just sat, silent and steady, until the words tumbled out. "I don't think I belong here," he finally said, voice low. "I feel like, no matter what I do, it's not enough. Like I'm not what they were expecting." Evelyn's heart twisted painfully. She remembered feeling that exact way years ago, sitting alone at a desk just like his, wondering if she'd made a mistake daring to dream bigger than what the world thought she deserved. "Daniel," she said quietly, "you don't have to change who you are to fit here." He shook his head, bitter. "They don't see me." She smiled sadly. "Then make them." Daniel stared at her, confused. "You don't fight exclusion by shrinking," Evelyn said. "You fight it by taking up space. Be the smartest, be the most prepared, be undeniable. And when they try to ignore you, stand anyway." Daniel didn't respond right away, but she saw it. The small flickering flame in his eyes, the one that hadn't quite gone out. Over the next few months, Daniel changed. He started speaking up in meetings. He offered ideas that couldn't be brushed aside. He wrote briefs so airtight that even the most skeptical partners had to take notice. And when client after client requested him personally for their cases, the tide began to turn. But the real moment came during the firm's annual gala. Every year, they honored a rising associate with a Future Leader Award, a title that often led to partnership down the road. Everyone knew who the frontrunners were. Daniel wasn't on anyone's betting list. But when the announcement came, when it came to choosing this year's honoree, the managing partner said, one name stood out for excellence, leadership, and integrity. The room fell into stunned silence. Daniel Foster. Daniel sat frozen for a moment, blinking, uncertain, until Evelyn gave him a small, firm nod from across the room. He stood. Applause filled the hall, some polite, some genuine. But none of it mattered. He had made it impossible to be invisible. Later that night, after the gala, Daniel found Evelyn standing alone on the balcony, looking out over the city skyline. "You knew," he said. She smiled without looking at him. "I hoped." He stepped closer. "How do you keep doing it? Even after everything?" Evelyn finally turned to him, her eyes shining with something deep and old and fierce. "Because every time I stayed," she said, "I left an empty chair at the table. So the next person, like you, wouldn't have to fight for a seat. You just have to sit down." Daniel looked at her, really looked, and realized her victories weren't just for herself. They were for all of them. From that night on, Daniel made himself a promise. He would never shrink again. Not for comfort, not for approval, not for fear. And someday, he would leave empty chairs too. Chairs waiting for the ones who came next. Wide open and waiting. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Together, we can keep telling stories that make space for every voice, every dream, every life. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay seen.